Be me, Ryan, 32, Senior Coordinator in a logistics back office. Our department handles claims, routing mistakes, damaged freight, and all the ugly exceptions. We are the people you only notice when something blows up expensively. On good days, nobody knows our names, which means everything worked. On bad days, directors breathe down our necks asking why trucks are sitting still. Work is not glamorous, but it is real and very measurable. Either containers move and numbers match, or they do not, and everyone panics. Our team is small, specialized, and annoyingly good at putting fires out. We are not some official boys' club, but the core is mostly guys by seniority. Leon, 59, been here since fax machines and plastic ashtrays on desks. He remembers every account number, every weird contract clause, every seasonal volume pattern. If a shipment goes missing, Leon can smell where it fell off the map. You could drop him in front of any screen and he would orient instantly. Then there is Malik, 30, fast-brained, quiet voice, murderous with spreadsheets. He can rebuild a broken report while answering a phone with the other hand. Jared deals with warehouse escalations and carrier tantrums, hates meetings, loves silent fixes. Most of our culture lives in how we coordinate under pressure. We do not have inspirational posters, we have color-coded dashboards and caffeine. Our manager is Paul, mid-40s, nice suits, soft spine, professional survivor. Paul's philosophy is simple. Numbers green equals keep your head down always. As long as our metrics look pretty, he lets us run the floor our way. We like that arrangement. He gets credit, we get left alone. The only thing keeping this place humane is the structure of the day. Morning surge, breather, lunch, another breather, then afternoon cleanup and final handoffs. Breaks are not perks here, they are necessary pressure valves, like safety valves on boilers. If you do not stop to breathe, you start making expensive mistakes for everyone. We all take lunch in roughly the same wave every day. 20 or 30 minutes where brains reset and quiet conversations fix half tomorrow's problems. Someone mentions a weird carrier rule. Someone else mentions a client quirk quietly. 3 potential issues disappear before they even become tickets in the system. Smoke breaks do a similar job in shorter bursts out back. Even non-smokers step outside sometimes, just for air and quick sinks. Little rituals keep the whole machine from shaking apart completely. Enter corporate, phase 1 of the new era they keep teasing. Email goes out that our longtime HR rep, Martha, is retiring soon. Martha was exactly what you want in HR if you like functioning companies. Answered questions, processed forms, kept the lawyers calm, and stayed out of the way. She never tried to psychoanalyze the coffee machine or our seating chart. Everyone signs a generic card, eats cake in the break room, and moves on. Month later, Paul announces fresh HR leadership from headquarters with his nervous smile. Those words feel like a slow-moving car crash we cannot dodge. Day 1. She arrives, heels clicking, tablet already in her hand like a badge. Her name is Sabrina, mid-30s, perfect blazer, perfect smile, eyes like a performance review. She introduces herself as our new people experience and culture architect. We already know this is going to hurt in some creative way. She does the office tour, but with that consultant stare, like studying test subjects. Talks about holistic culture, rest equity, emotional safety. All the greatest buzzwords. Every sentence sounds like it crawled out of a training deck about feelings. We explain our job in boring operational terms. She nods like we are quaint animals. For a week, she just watches us like a nature documentary. She is in the break room at weird times, near the doors, near the cafeteria. She asks people where they eat lunch, who they sit with, how often they take breaks. She notes patterns whenever two guys laugh at the same time or share coffee. Leon calls her the anthropologist under his breath and keeps working. We have survived dress codes and open office fads, so nobody panics yet. Then Monday arrives with a very special email and zero mercy. Subject line reads Rest Equity and Inclusive Break Utilization Pilot. Everyone on the floor opens it immediately and feels their stomachs sink. Sabrina writes that HR has identified historical imbalance in access to restorative time. Apparently, after observational review, she discovered gender-clustered break patterns. Translation: men tend to eat lunch with men, women with women. The sky is blue. She claims men dominate shared spaces more confidently. Women self-limit their recovery time. She attaches colorful graphs nobody asked for and nobody can actually verify. Now comes the knife wrapped in pastel language and fake concern. To rebalance rest equity, new policies will apply to overrepresented groups in core operations. On our floor, that means the senior men, which is literally the engine of the department. Starting next week, all male employees in operations get fixed 10-minute lunch windows. Badge in and out, hard limit. Tracking enforced by the timekeeping system down to the second. Women in operations get 25 to 30 minutes, flexible with additional restorative micro breaks. Men are discouraged from clustering, which basically means no more big tables of guys together. She even writes, non-restorative social clustering may reinforce exclusionary dynamics with a straight face. Smoke breaks are restructured too, because obviously those are dangerous somehow. No more 2 or 3 guys stepping out together for 5 minutes of air. If 2 male badges exit within 2 minutes, that counts as a linked event. Persistent patterns trigger coaching conversations about allyship and inclusion. There is one sentence that makes everyone's jaw clench at once. Those historically overrepresented in operational decision-making can afford more structured rest. Translation: you guys have it easy, so we can squeeze you harder. Guilt-free. Email ends with, "Thank you in advance for your allyship in this important initiative." Leon prints it, reads once, folds it very carefully, and says absolutely nothing. Week 1 of the experiment is instant chaos wrapped in order. My new lunch window is 12:07 to 12:17 according to her schedule. Malik's is 12:20 to 12:30. Leon's is 12:02 to 12:12. Jared's near 1 o'clock. We badge out at our exact minute like inmates on supervised yard time. First day I spend 4 minutes waiting behind one ancient microwave. That leaves 6 minutes to inhale food, burn my mouth, and jog back. If someone wants to discuss a ticket during that window, they become the enemy instantly. No more big table with mixed nonsense and quiet talk, just scattered men counting seconds. The women sit together because they still can, and everyone knows why. Most of them look embarrassed even while eating like normal humans again. Sabrina strolls through with her tablet, watching badges and faces with that satisfied little smile. Leon misjudges timing by 1 minute on Tuesday, returns at 12:13 instead. System logs 15 minutes, generates an automatic flag for overrun. Sabrina appears at his desk later wearing that sympathetic expression. She says, "Just a gentle reminder, modeling consistency is part of equity leadership." This to a man who survived 3 mergers and kept clients from suing everyone. Smoke breaks get even dumber very quickly. We used to step out in pairs, talk over a messy claim, quietly fix something. Now if Jared stands up and I stand up, whole room tenses like we drew weapons. Once Malik and I hit the door within 90 seconds without thinking. Badge log catches it. We get a group email about clustered mail egress patterns. Sabrina literally writes those words like she just discovered gravity. The real damage sneaks in quietly under the stupidity. We rush to cram food into 10 minutes. They return from full lunches slowly. Again, nobody blames the women. Everyone with the brain knows this is not their fault. But resentment toward the policy floats around with nowhere useful to land. People stop talking during their tiny windows because talking wastes chewing time. No more, "Hey, did you notice that vendor invoice pattern over leftovers?" No more, "This routing code looks wrong," while microwaves beep in chorus. Missing conversations start showing up in our metrics a few days later. Claims hang around longer because nobody mentions them casually at lunch. 2 related tickets from different queues no longer meet at the same table. Leon learns about a contract tweak when 3 problems hit at once instead of 1. Paul pretends not to notice the numbers sliding in the wrong direction. He says we're just adapting, let's not overreact, which means please keep my life easy. Week 2, Sabrina drops another email shaped like a grenade. Phase 2, accountability and incentive alignment, hits our inboxes. She announces that male employees who overrun their 10 minutes more than twice lose punctuality bonuses. Those bonuses are not huge, but they pay actual bills in groceries. Women's longer windows are protected to preserve corrective equity, her exact phrase. Someone anonymously pings legal about it. Rumor spreads fast across floors. Legal replies with something vague about HR authority over scheduling and non-discriminatory incentives. Apparently nobody with a law degree wants this fight yet, so the structure hardens and we realize nobody upstairs will save us. Clients still know nothing, they just see slower answers and more. We are looking into it. One big retail account starts copying extra executives on every angry email. Paul calls a huddle, asks us to push through the transition and be patient. Leon asks calmly when our old break structure comes back. Paul glances toward Sabrina's office window and says, "Let's give the data time." Data currently being strangled by a 10-minute timer and someone's thesis. Floor gets quieter, not peaceful quiet, but tightened quiet where everyone is tired. No more joking, no more side conversations that make afternoons bearable. Guys start chewing granola bars walking between desks because actual lunch is a joke. Sabrina posts posters on the break room wall about redistributing recovery fairly. Colorful cartoon employees share a table under phrases like, "Rest is not a privilege." Malik looks at one and mutters, "Tell that to my microwaved spaghetti." One Friday, during our scattered lunch wave, the plan finally surfaces. I am at my little 2-seat table, timer on my phone, food half warm. Malik walks past each of us on his way out, lowers his voice. He says the same quiet sentence to every guy he passes. We should stop covering for them. Covering has meant staying late, answering calls on break, fixing things informally. Next week, we practice full religious compliance like a cult. If something lands during our scheduled lunch, it waits where it landed. If someone calls while we are badged out, voicemail gets their emergency. If a coworker wants a quick verbal answer, we say, please put it in the system. If a ticket can technically roll to tomorrow without breaking contract, it rolls. We hate it because we are proud of being good and fast, but pride already got taxed at 10 minutes per day, so whatever. By the time seasonal back-to-school inventory hits, we are already limping badly. That wave hits our lanes like a truck full of bricks, obviously. Emails arrive flagged urgent before sunrise. Carriers queue on hold. Warehouses start screaming. In the middle of this, Sabrina posts an internal note near the break room door. Remember, rest equity is more important during high-stress periods. Underlined twice. She reminds everyone, overrepresented groups must not steal recovery from marginalized colleagues. Translation, even today, guys, do not dare take 11 minutes like animals. Tuesday of that week becomes the moment her experiment detonates publicly. At 11:30, Leon is halfway through a complex multi-stop perishable shipment claim. Deadline for rerouting before spoilage is tight, but still technically doable. His lunch window starts at 11:32, like a loaded gun over his head. He looks at the clock, sighs, saves progress, and badges out like an obedient soldier. He stands in the cafeteria microwaving soup, timer ticking, brain still on that shipment. Jared's break starts 2 minutes later, mine at 11:38, Malik at 11:40. When we all return, that reroute deadline is gone by several minutes. Cost is 5 figures and 1 nuclear phone call from the client's regional manager. Call escalates to Paul immediately, whose face drains color in record time. That one mistake alone triggers an emergency performance review meeting with directors. Stack that on our rising backlog and doubled rework rate, and we are officially a problem. Next morning, the regional director, Alvarez, appears in person on our floor. Never met him before, only seen his name on dire emails. Late 50s, worn suit, expression of someone who has seen 3 crashes already. He walks the aisles, looks at dashboards, looks at people, says almost nothing. He watches the lunch countdown over the cafeteria doors start ticking. He sees Leon standing with his soup, watching seconds instead of screens. He watches 2 women wander in later, chatting with normal human pace and posture. You can see something click hard behind his eyes. After lunch, he drags Paul into a small conference room. 10 minutes later, Sabrina joins them with tablet and confident posture. 20 minutes after that, someone from legal walks in carrying a thick folder. You never need a camera when the vibe in the hallway gets that level of heavy. Eventually, Alvarez steps out and says he wants to hear directly from frontline operations. Paul tries to choose the most diplomatic volunteers. Alvarez waves him away immediately. He points at Leon, at Malik, at me, at Jared, and says, "You 4." We sit down around the conference table like defendants about to lose health insurance. Instead, Alvarez leans forward and says something surprising. I have the metrics, but I want to hear the story too. Nobody jumps in. When executives say that, there is always a trap somewhere. Leon finally exhales and starts from before the pilot existed. Explains how overlapping lunches let us kill 3 or 4 issues informally every day. How smoke breaks functioned as quick triage meetings and sanity checks. How nobody minded staying 10 extra minutes here and there because we felt like partners. Then he walks through Sabrina's email almost word for word, horror movie style. Quotes, overrepresented groups can afford more structured rest with perfect recall. Malik opens his laptop and shares before and after graphs on the screen. lines showing resolution times climbing right after the pilot begins. Error percentages jumping when clustered breaks disappear entirely. Highlights the perishable shipment case with timestamps, missed reroute windows circled in red. Jared explains how carriers behave when you literally have to hang up mid-negotiation. He says, "They call me back during someone else's 10 minutes and I can't pick up. I show the violation emails for 12-minute lunches, the posters, the micro break rules. I repeat carefully that we have not sabotaged anything. Just stop patching holes off the books." Legal flips through printed policy pages, quietly highlighting phrases like overrepresented group and male-coded rest. Room goes silent for a long, uncomfortable stretch. Finally, Alvarez asks the question that matters more than all the graphs. Did any of you agree in writing that your break rights depend on your gender? We all say no immediately, obviously, like he asked whether we enjoy forklift accidents. Legal looks at Sabrina and raises one eyebrow. Professional executioner energy. Sabrina launches the speech we all knew by heart already. Talks about invisible labor, emotional burdens, historically silenced voices, all the usual. She says men in these environments rarely notice how much extra support women provide. She says marginalized staff deserve more room to breathe, even if privileged colleagues feel pinched. Alvarez lets her finish the whole monologue without interrupting once. Then he asks, "Did you apply any of this redistribution to managers or directors?" She blinks, says something about distinct leadership responsibilities and different rest expectations. Translation: equality is for you, not for people with bigger offices. Legal asks whether any risk assessment covered tying break length and bonuses to sex specifically. Sabrina says HR enjoys broad discretion over scheduling and soft incentives. The words broad discretion hit the table like a confession in a courtroom. Alvarez thanks us for speaking, tells us to return to our desks while they review. For an hour, the floor sounds like keyboards plus heartbeats. Around 3, an all-staff email from Alvarez hits every inbox simultaneously. Subject line: immediate suspension of rest equity pilot. He writes that all differential break policies are suspended effective immediately. Lunch returns to standard 30 minutes for all full-time staff, no tracking by category. Smoke breaks and micro pauses fall back under ordinary building guidelines, not experimental frameworks. No performance penalties or notes from the pilot will count toward evaluations or bonuses. There will be a full audit of the program and its design process. Paul looks like he wants to climb under his desk and vanish. Sabrina reads the message, face hardens, marches toward Alvarez's office like a heroic martyr. Legal meets her at the door and gently redirects her to another conference room. Later, we hear that she spent an hour there with Legal and someone from corporate HR. Next morning, her office light stays off and her name disappears from the internal directory. A neutral HR email states she has chosen to pursue opportunities better aligned with her vision. No cake, no farewell card, no company-wide thank you post, nothing at all. Someone eventually finds her personal LinkedIn essay anyway, and sends screenshots around quietly. She writes about challenging male entitlement to space and rest in a resistant culture. She claims coordinated backlash pushed her out after she bravely defended marginalized rest. She never mentions 10-minute lunches, spoiled freight, or lost bonuses anywhere in that text. Someone prints the post and tapes it inside a cabinet in the break room. We open it sometimes when days are bad, just to laugh and remind ourselves how close we came. Alvarez sends one more email a week later, short and very direct. States that any future scheduling changes affecting protected categories require legal and operation sign-off. HR can propose but cannot unilaterally redistribute rest time based on identity charts anymore. He also writes, "We hire operations to move freight and solve problems, not to be experiments." Paul quietly gets reassigned to some metrics project months later, far away from real decisions. A new HR rep arrives eventually. Dana, late 40s, tired eyes, no PowerPoint voice. Her first meeting with us lasts 10 minutes and contains one promise only. She says, "My job is payroll, compliance, and helping you not get sued. If your numbers are clean and nobody's harassing anyone, I have no reason to touch your brakes." Leon nods once, which is the highest blessing this floor offers. Life does not become paradise afterwards. It goes back to boring. We still have angry clients, impossible windows, and trucks stuck behind snowstorms. But lunch is lunch again, not a timed punishment disguised as justice. Smoke breaks are smoke breaks again, plus 5-minute strategy meetings for free. People start joking in the break room again without glancing at the door constantly. Tension leaks away slowly like air from a scary balloon. None of us forget, though. We have watched someone label our breathing as privilege and our sandwiches as oppression. We have seen how little it takes to damage a working system when nobody says no. And we learned something useful, even if nobody puts it on a poster. If you want to destroy a department, you do not have to fire anyone. Just give their breaks to a person with theory, a tablet, and no accountability. The revenge was never a riot or walkout or heroic courtroom speech. It was perfect obedience, followed so carefully that the nonsense could not hide anymore. We did not become villains in her story. We let her story hang itself on real numbers. Now, when I badge out for lunch and see 30 full minutes available, I still remember 10. I look at the big table, Leon there with 2 new hires, explaining some arcane carrier rule between bites. Malik is laughing with Jared about a warehouse manager who finally learned to attach photos correctly. Nobody is counting seconds. Nobody is logging clustered mail egress patterns on a tablet. Freight keeps moving, dashboards stay mostly green, the posters about rest equity are gone. HR is back in its corner, doing the boring necessary things quietly. And whenever someone jokes about privilege in the break room now, we look at each other and smirk. Because we know exactly how close this place came to breaking over 10 stupid minutes and one very confident woman.